Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Angery American Nation podcast. No, I am not Angry American, but he is on his way. He's having a little bit of technical difficulties. I'll let him explain all that when he gets here. But we got Big Bob Toombs in the house from Mountain Readiness. How we doing tonight, Bob?
Man, we hanging in there, bro. Yeah,
Hey.
you got it covered. You got it covered.
Improvise.
You're used to this,
right?
Russ.
It ain't our first rodeo doing this, right?
Stay ready.
Yep. And our special guest, Frank Gonzalez from Knives by Hand. Frank, welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you.
And guys, that promo you just saw is the Sandan knife, and I'm going to let Frank explain a little bit, but that is our grand prize for tonight. We'll be doing 3 drawings, have 3 different knives. Here's the deal, though, folks. Here's the deal. You can enter only once, and if you win the first one, you're out of the other 2, and we're going to wait till the end to draw the Sandan. And now that our gracious host has finally arrived, and I'll let you explain that if you wish, there, boss man.
Well, it was just technical difficulties with a clock that wasn't sprung forward. I thought I had an hour to go. I was like, "This is golden. This is perfect." Just looked at the clock. I'm sweet. No, I wasn't. Thanks for the call, Teresa. Oh, good Lord.
There's a sword in the background.
Burning that candle at both ends.
Well,
we kind of I kind of am at the moment. I got a crew at work busy in Texas at the moment. So
well, boss, I just ran the promo, and I was going to have Frank kind of explain the Sandan. That's going to be the main one tonight, and we'll pop into the other ones as well. Show them that, and you can do your thing from here.
Yep. We'll do one of them every 20 minutes is what I'm thinking.
Ooh. Okay.
Ish. If they're in at that 20-minute mark, then they're in. And that way we'll do the big one at the end.
Sounds good.
Okay.
But if Mama T's ready, we will do them in 20 minutes. You'll give me the nod on that. So anyway, Frank, buddy, great to see you. Haven't seen you since Mountain Readiness, man. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. How you been? I've been busy.
Me too, buddy. I've been very busy. Started a whole nother company
really
after leaving there, and we're like I said, I got crews and bucket trucks working in Texas right now. So, and I need to join them soon.
Wow.
So, and T, what up, man? Good to see you, brother. Sorry I was late, folks. It's like I said, it literally was a clock that wasn't set back. It just threw me. So, but I'm glad y'all are here.
Man, they got the comments lit up. Everybody is fired up about some free knives now.
Well, you know how much everybody loves free.
That's it.
Everybody. So wait, but I'm not seeing a single entry.
No, not yet. Well, I just put it up. Use the hashtag, guys. Hashtag Knives by Hand. Knives by Hand.
That's right.
Boom.
Yep. You put that into your entry, and we will enter you into a random number generator. Essentially, is what it is. Which will randomly select a name. So there's no way to schmooze your way into this one. Yeah. So anyway, Frank, back to you, man. The Sandan is the prize of the night, and that's the one everybody's talking about. So you are the man who conceived of and made it. And so there's no better place to get the story than from you.
Okay. Well, I talked to Alan Kay. Sorry he couldn't be here tonight. He had created his lighter weight knife, and I thought I'd create a lightweight knife myself, my version of a lighter weight knife. Mine's a little bit lighter than his, a little bit smaller, but I wanted something to carry on my belt and a heavier one to carry in my backpack. So this is one we're giving away tonight later. And after talking to Alan, I did put like a miniature finger choil on it so you can use it. Mm-hmm. But I wanted one that I could still take and chop. I'm weighing it right now. This one weighs right at 16 ounces. So this,
wow.
So this is the actual one that was used in that video that you played. I cleaned it up a bit, but this is the one that was actually used in the video. But I did it based on Alan saying he wanted something lighter weight. And he wanted to keep the ring in the handle for grip, where you wrap your 2 fingers around and grips on it. Acts as stop. So, and decided we'd give one away to somebody here. So
that's awesome. But there's a little more to the story though about where they're made,
okay.
how they're made, and the relationship you have with those folks. Yeah.
Well, I got to go back way back to the early 80s, back when I was in the military. I have the actual knife I carried in the military with me. I brought it for this. I still have it today. I carried a stag-handled Bowie knife when I was in the military. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I met some Gurkhas when I was doing kind of a recon type job, and they were carrying this funny-looking curved blade, and they were doing some amazing things with it when they were cutting wood and things, survival type things. We were out there because we were out there. I think the longest I was out was about 42 days with what was on my back. But anyway, so we were out there, and they had that, and I liked the way it worked, and I got an education on that later. He said I have it here, and I was gifted a knife way back then. This is what they were carrying this is from '84.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
wow.
So that's what they had. So anyway, they were carrying these knives, and I learned, and I'm going to use this wooden one so I don't hurt myself. What I found was a Bowie knife hits straight like this, but a guillotine has a slanted curve. So when it hits and bites. It cuts in. So if you learn how to wield it, it'll actually hit and slice in. So I liked them. So I started collecting them. Yeah, and let me see. I have a 100-year-old one right here. So this one's over 100 years old.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was used by the Royal Guard. They carried this thing. I was like, wow, it's a beast.
That is.
But anyway, after the military, during the military, the Gurkhas were using knives. I got into it, and I liked their knives. It's kind of cool. I started carrying the Kukri knife. And after I got out of the military, I started doing things for self-healing, I guess. I shot guns like everybody else. I entered martial arts. I was doing the whole submission thing back before UFC became popular. A lot of people know that about me. Been choked out, choked people out, won. Yeah, that's the nature of the game. Anyway, one day I wasn't mad anymore because I was angry over things that happened I'd seen. I buried a lot of soldiers in my lifetime. I then started hammering steel at night. So I started hammering hot steel at night, and that was self-therapy. I made a cold forge myself out of clay in a bucket, a steel bucket, wash tub, and I put a weir or basically a pipe with holes drilled in it, and for airflow to go through and fill it with coal, and that's where I started. And my first knife was made from a lawnmower blade, believe it or not, and I still keep that over my head where I do the grinding and sanding. I keep that up in the air over my head. Remind me where I started. And so I started doing those kind of things. And then as I got into it, I started making more knives. I wasn't selling them. I wasn't in business or anything. That came later. And I needed leather sheaths for my knives. I needed sheaths. And so I met a man by the name of Johnny Gardner who owned Grasper. He's retired now. But he did gun holsters. And he hated making knife sheaths. He did. Because custom knives are all different sizes. You know, Smith & Wesson 686 is a Smith & Wesson 686. You know, so how long's the barrel? 4 inches, 6 inches. That's all you need to know. But custom knives, you have to hand cut and cut everything. And so we got to be friends because I'd go over there and he was starting his business. He needed the money. You know, I wanted sheaths, so I bought sheaths from him. And that built on, and we became friends. And one day his wife got sick and she couldn't go to the gun show. And he asked me if I could go. Well, I knew a lot about firearms because I did some competition shooting and so on that I don't tell people about, but I did a little dabbled in that a little bit, IDPA. So I went with them, and people came and said, "Hey, do you have a holster for, you know, a Ruger or a Sig?" Or, you know, I knew to ask the questions: right hand, left hand, cross draw, how you going to carry it, that kind of thing, small pack. You know, and I knew what kind of sheath and what they wanted. You know, I was familiar with them. And he liked that. And he gave me a spot on his table. He said, you can put some of your knives here and sell them. I hadn't even thought of that. So I did, and I put like 5 knives out, and I'm still looking for the first knife I sold. Every once in a while, I post it on Facebook because I'll buy it back. and I didn't know anything about sales and marketing. I still don't. That's my weakness, and my better half, Carrie, yells at me for that. But I put it on the table, and he came up. He said, how much for that one? And I thought, well, I'm going to price this one really high so he doesn't buy it. Now, this is like 20 years ago, and I said, $100. And he whips out $100, hands it to me, and walks off. And at that time, that was like my artwork. That was my baby. You know,
right.
And I was kind of sad. No, he took my painting, my art, you know. I'm over that now. But in the beginning, in the beginning, it was kind of, I had to get into it. And over years, I helped Johnny. And I used to work in Johnny's, he taught me leather work because he leathersmith. And he taught me for free. I worked there for free, and he taught me a skill, and I learned leather work. And I started doing some leather work with him. And we used to watch, what was it, the Paladin? I can't remember the movie, the TV show, Paladin. Have Gun Will Travel, which which inspired this Bowie, by the way, because we put the logo on it. Yeah. So anyway, so we would take a break during work when Paladin came on, and we would drink whiskey and watch Paladin for half an hour. You know, Have Gun Will Travel, and that was kind of cool. I kind of miss Johnny. But anyway, and so later on, I started selling more and more knives with him, going to shows. And then I realized I'm starting to make money at this, and I'm going to jail if I don't pay taxes at some point. Because at a certain point, you know, 3,000, 4,000, 10,000, 12, 14, 20, you start going up in knife sales. Because I was actually selling that many knives, and it was. So I became a business, and I made my own website. And I'm going to shout out to Casey Adams, who helped me with the website, because I did my website, and then it was okay, but it was rough, very rough. And I talked to Casey, and he said, hey, I said, can you help me? He said, yeah, I can tweak your website. And so he took my website, threw it in the trash, and rebuilt the whole thing. Yeah. So I'm shout out to him for that. And I thank him for that. And I think he might be watching right now. And Benjamin, I see questions coming in.
Yeah, I just say here's a question.
Go to oil. I use Gibbs oil. Yeah, actually, I use Gibbs oil. GIBBS. It's my go-to oil for my knives. They're not paying me for that.
There was another question up a little further, Chris.
If you can see it, grab it. I'm looking.
I got you.
If you got him, get him up there. There we
go. What's the question, Frank? Do you
have
the cross to show the fine photo? No, the cross one. It's very similar it's similar to this one, except here I put a Christian cross. I did a bunch of these for Christmas. I'll have another. Yours are actually being forged right now. That's fib. Oh, it's fib. Okay. Yeah, his is actually being forged right now. He wanted a few, so those will be ready pretty soon. I may have one I can pull out later. But anyway, as I was going, I was saying, I started going through things, and I worked it out, and I wasn't mad anymore. And the hammering steel helped a lot. I mean, it did. Made one arm bigger than the other, but it helped a lot. So I learned a lot. I traveled around. I talked to different blacksmiths, and they were helpful. I learned from different blacksmiths, different techniques, and I learned the old ways in cold forging. I didn't learn how to use I didn't learn for example, I'm going to use this little bitty letter opener knife. When we forge knives and you heat treat them, it doesn't matter if it's 5160 or 1080 or 1095 or 1040. They all have one thing in common. When they reach temperature, most people have a chart in a thermometer, laser thermometer, and when it reaches temperature, you know you're at temperature. They all have one thing in common. When it reaches temperature, a magnet won't stick to it. In the old days, they would just touch it with a magnet when the magnet quit because the atoms are vibrating so much. When it stopped sticking to it, you knew that at that point it was at temperature for quenching. And then after you quenched it, it'd get pretty hard. If you water quenched it, it would be really hard because I used water in the beginning. But you can draw it down. And one of the things you draw it down, you can lay it on the coals and learn the color bands from blacksmiths. And it'll actually change color as it goes. You want a straw color here. And dark blue down here would be about 40 Rockwell. Straw color is about 56 Rockwell hardness. So you'll have a soft spine and a hard edge. And I learned that just laying on the coals and watching the colors go up. You can also do that with a blowtorch on it. But
you can also mess it up really fast with a blowtorch if you don't know what you're doing.
I was going to say a blowtorch would ruin it in a heartbeat.
It works great. It works great, but 1 second too long, boom, you start.
Boom, that's correct. So I would lay it on the hot coals. I'd turn the blower off. And I'd lay it on the coals, and I'd watch it. And I'd watch the color bands go up. And so I learned different techniques along that. For example, normalizing. A lot of them will take it, put it in an oven for 350, 400 degrees. Okay, for so many hours, depending on the steel. I didn't have that. I didn't have an oven like that. And I learned the old ways. In the old ways, I would heat it up to temperature again, and it's called normalizing. Basically, when you're hammering steel, you can get microfractures in there, tiny little cracks in there. And you want those to heal or weld internally. So you heat it back up to temperature, and I would drop it in a bucket of sand. You get a bucket of sand, stick it in the sand. Sand acts as an insulator, keeps that heat in, and you walk away from it for 24 hours. Just leave it sit, and it will naturally sit there and heal itself over time. That's how they used to. That's how they used to do it. They didn't have an oven back 100, 200 years ago.
Yeah,
that's how they did it.
So I got one question. You're talking about quenching. Now, I'm not a blacksmith of any degree whatsoever. I could light the fire, maybe. But what's the difference between water quenching and oil quenching? What's that do?
Well, water quenching hardens, and some steel is better for water quenching than others. A lot of people know that. I had it analyzed. This is made out of railroad track steel. Yeah,
really?
It's a low carbon. And to get it hard, they had to use water quench because water can make your steel brittle. But if it's a low carbon steel, water is better. And I'll get to that. So water cools the steel faster than oil does. Yep. So it hardens it faster. Okay. Now, one of the things you got to watch out for water quenching is if you go straight down, sometimes it'll create a steam pocket around the blade and it won't quench properly. And that's why you'll see them do a figure eight. Yeah, they'll do that and they'll move it around because of that. The other one is I call it waterfall. You'll see it done as a tea kettle technique, where they hold the blade out, and they hold the blade and they'll get a tea kettle and pour water over the edge. So what they're not getting is a steam pocket, and they're running the water and they're controlling the part that gets really hard. And you'll see that done, and that's an old technique, a couple 100 years old.
Oh wow!
That's so the different ways.
Mm-hmm. With all the high carbon steel that we've got today, though, water quench is a thing of the past. At least it is here,
right.
For the most part.
It is.
Yeah. 80 CRB2 and, 51. All this stuff. All the high carbon stuff, you try to water quench it and you end up with a broken knife.
Yeah, it'll be a cracker.
That sounds like the voice of experience there, T.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's oil quench now, but
oil quench, and they have all kinds. You can buy a special oil for quenching. You can make your own. There is a water quench, but it consists of water, salt, soap, and it's a mixture.
Right.
Speaking
of,
so it's not even a true water quench.
Yeah. Speaking of quenching too, you were talking about how they would, bring up the temperature, normalize, and finding the right temperature. I saw a guy actually put salt into the forge with the knife. And then once the salt dissolved, then he knew that he was at that, 1400 degree area for the quench. So that way he knew what his temperature was just in the forge. Cause it's hard to tell in a forge, a lot of course, guys like you that's been doing this for years and years, you get used to those colors. with the lights turned down. But I thought that was really neat, using salt to know what your temperature was.
That's pretty awesome. Hey, Chris, Teresa is really close. I want to pop up the picture of the knives, the other two knives that we're giving away. And Frank,
let's do that real quick.
Yeah.
Right. So there's the other two we're giving away.
Oh,
and
sweet.
The choice is yours, Frank. Whichever one you want to give away first is the one we'll give away first.
All right.
Man, that bottom one is nasty
Yeah,
looking. I mean, that's
what they look like in the sheaths.
Yep. Okay. Yep.
Yep. Very nice. Yeah, which one you want to do first, Frank?
I'll do let's do the. I said we'll do the nasty one first. That'll be fine.
I'll tell you what else.
Oh,
they are scanning the heck out of the QR code knives by hand up in the upper left-hand corner.
There's a lot of scanning going on.
Yeah. So, and while they're scanning, I'm going to go ahead and put this up. Frank and I discussed this earlier. Let me find it. It's there. Okay, guys, if you use code KBH10, KBH10, you'll get 10% off and free shipping in the U.S. if you purchase a knife from Frank.
And I'm going to tell you some of the guys that I know are out there. I haven't seen anybody's names in here this evening, but I know some of my buddies that are watching. Go look at Frank's Marine Raider, because Frank, I'm going to order one of those from you probably tonight as a gift for somebody. Look at this. Pull that thing out of the sheath and show it to folks. And then show them that sheath work too. Look at this blade.
That's a big
Look at that.
I've embedded a skull here on the handle.
That is the classic Marine Raider, like U.S. Marine Corps, Marine Raider, World War II era Bowie right there.
Yeah.
And I'm ordering one of those from you tonight as a gift for a friend of mine that needs that in his life.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, Chris, Teresa is ready.
Teresa is ready. Well, let's spin the big wheel of fun and see who gets to win
We're going to move down here
nastiness.
to this one. Give me a second. I got like 70 million buttons to push. But there we have it.
That's loaded down.
The wheel of death.
Wheel of death.
It's a big wheel of fun. Yeah, that is the wheel of fun.
So, Teresa, spin it away, darling.
I'm just saying Kelly's name looks like it occupies a larger spot on the wheel than anybody else's. I'm just pointing it out there. I'm not saying anything. I know Kelly's giving me the yeah. Well, thank you, Chris. I was gonna say you were giving me the
Diana Rogers.
Diana Rogers.
What's up, Diana?
Awesome.
She said she was gonna win it in the comments.
She called it.
Yep.
She called it.
Pow.
She called it.
All right. Hold on.
Like nailed it.
We'll come back over here. For those of you that
I love seeing people like Diana who always here, who are in the lives and would attend events if she could. I know you would. I love seeing folks like that win
absolutely.
Stuff like this. And,
Diana, send me an email with your name and address, and we'll get that shipped over to you. And folks, remember, just because you didn't win this one, you're still in the running for the next one. So
the next two.
About the Berkey filters, no, you cannot buy legit Berkey filters anymore. Thank you, state of California.
Yeah.
Snap.
You can buy Chinese knockoffs.
Gotta love that.
So
wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So all right, so we got one out of the way. We'll do another one here in a little bit. But we're talking quenching and stuff, and that's if I had free time, like I would love to learn to do something like that. I could see how that would be therapeutic.
Yeah.
I just don't know if my shoulders will be able to take me swinging a hammer like that anymore.
Build those shoulders up, Chris. Gotta build those shoulders right up.
I'll go buy a hammer mill, man. I'm that kind of blacksmith.
Power hammer.
I need shoulder surgery on both of them, so I don't know which one to swing with first. You know, I mean, they're both messed up. But anyway, yeah, it's interesting. So you guys, T and Frank, you're both saying like nobody water quenches anymore because that's more of an art than oil quenching is. Yeah. There's a little more wiggle room in oil quenching.
Metallurgy. Metallurgy has changed over the years. We've come a long ways, and the high carbon steels that we've got now, it just you can't water quench with them. It'd just the micro fractures thing. The thing would be so hard, you drop it on the floor, it bust into little.
It breaks, bust like a mirror,
like a camshaft.
That's why the Japanese swords have that many layers. I don't know if you know that. They had shit steel. That's the short version. They had crap.
There we go. Look at there, Frank. Already working out for you, man. Already getting those sales in there. And we can't encourage enough. I'm going to tell you now. Frank shocked me at the prices of his blades, guys.
No doubt.
No doubt.
Yeah.
He is woefully underpriced for the quality, the beauty. I mean, these things are works of art when you get them. They really are. I got one of the Alan Kay Kukris myself. I've already beaten it to shit. But it's still razor sharp. I haven't sharpened it yet, but I've put it to work and it's working. So these are incredible blades, and we haven't yet even got really to the other part of the story, which is the Gurkhas and the people that are actually forging blades for him.
I've got I guess I can get into that. I had 2 apprentices at one time. People don't know that, and they've gone on and started their own business. So, because I started building my business up, and I needed help, and I trained a couple people, and they helped me out. And they've moved on and started. We still talk. We're still friends, but they started their own businesses. So, so I had to figure out what to do. I couldn't do everything.
Right.
I can't grow and do everything because now you got social media, sheath making, forging, shipping, packaging, and so on. Facebook monitoring and Instagram monitoring and so on. So there's all these things that had to be done. So I went and looked, and I reached out to some friends because I have friends in Nepal, and I flew out to Nepal. And I stayed with some Gurkha friends back then. By the way, I'm fairly old. Like I said, I was in the military in the 80s, early 80s, 83. So I went out there and met them, and they've still forged the way I was doing with coal. And they were forging the old ways, and they did Kukri knives. And so it meshed. So we got together, and I started working with them and teaching them some of my techniques. They taught me some of their techniques. I learned a couple of neat tricks on forging a Kukri knife, like if you want a rounded curve, I would get 2 pipes and roll it back and forth as I hammered it, and roll it back and forth between the 2 pipes to get the round. Now, just to get a standard bent, where's Helms? It's Helms had none, but he taught me. He heated it up. He walked over to his anvil and whack, and just bent it. Just hit it. I said, "You son of a!" I've been spending time, and you did it.
Works great.
Yeah, so I've learned from others. So
yeah. Yeah, sometimes you can overthink things, you know what I'm saying? But it's in their defense, the Nepalese have got a century or 2 ahead of you on forging kukris.
They heated it up, just whack it and bend it. So that's but anyway, so I went there, I got that done, and it's set up, and they've started growing. And Alan went out there and designed with them the expedition knife, which I think y'all have already thrown up here. You see, I've got it, which I've put it on my website. And
yes, lovely.
Yeah, buddy.
That's the one I've got. That's the one I've got, and I'm using.
And I taught them how to make my Carta. So we got my Carta handles now, which is fairly new.
Yeah, so because of Alan, you introduced a new handle material to Nepal.
Because he wanted my Carta, and they didn't know how to make my Carta, and I did. So I showed him how to make it. Alan added the finger choil. So basically, Alan made an old style kukri with some modern features. He put the fuller in to lighten the weight. He put a finger choil instead of their cho notch in there, so he could choke up and do.
For that fine work.
Now, can I say one thing on this blade too?
Sure.
Frank, what I really loved about this blade, and you do a lot on the kukris here, is, you know, everybody, if you're into the knife thing, you know, a fuller is there to reduce weight. Correct. But I noticed right off the bat when I grabbed the one from Alan, you actually have another choil that comes off of the spine. So you have the full thickness of the spine, but then if you look here, you have the fuller You got a second fuller right here reduction, and then a deep fuller next to the blade. So you're actually losing all this weight across the entire blade, but you're keeping the width of the spine for that strength. That's what I first noticed about that. That was a great, that double fuller to lose all that weight.
Yeah, you got a one wider, shallow, about 1 millimeter deep here, and then you've got this long, deeper one here. The other advantage that gives you is that when you chop through wood, your friction's on that and that, but you don't have any friction here or here when you're wood.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like a lot of the blades, you're trying to baton them through. Once you've got the full depth of blade in there, if you've got, say, a conventional Scandi or something like that, you're dealing with all the blade of the width of the blade all the way through.
A lot of drag, which that one there, that loses a lot of drag. I mean, you can even look at that thing. I mean, it really, but then you flip over onto the back, you got your full, just, you know, 1/4 inch thick at the top. So yeah, that
just looking at it, it says high speed, low drag. It says
high speed, low drag. Best way to put it. No, I love it. And I'm a blade snob, man. I am. Like, there's just, and I gotta say, price point wise on these blades is just ridiculous. 5160, I'm a big fan, man. You can put it through some serious abuse, and the quality of blade for that price, man, is just insane. You're a crazy man, Frank. You're crazy.
I'm sorry, but you can use your KVA 10 to 10% off.
The first knife I bought from Frank, I said, "How much?" And he told me, and I said, "No, I doubled it."
Yeah, you did.
Literally. I said, "I can't take this for that." No, I'm like, I can't do that.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that, Chris, because Larry Dial said the same thing up in the comments. He said he picked up the Expedition at Mountain Readiness, actually paid extra for it on his own because he felt that he was stealing the blade at the price that Frank has them at.
When you hold one of these things and when you see one of these blades, I mean, you can feel the quality. It's there, you know. And this is Frank's company, but let's look at the reach back that's happening here. You know, we're reaching all the way back into Nepal, a very impoverished country who has just in the very near past suffered some pretty horrific natural disasters. Frank hasn't mentioned it yet. I don't know if you were even going to talk about it or not, but the blacksmiths that he works with in Nepal, their shop was washed completely away. When Alan arrived, there was no forge, there was nothing, and he helped them rebuild and you know, and keep the process going. And Frank is the one that's selling the knives these guys are making. You see what I'm saying? There's a lot of reach back here. It's not just Frank's company. There's a lot of people being affected.
A lot of families being fed on this. One of the things that I realized in the military when I left, because back then it was the enemy of my enemy is my friend. That could go, and that's a deep hole to go down for me. But the Gurkhas, who they've won, you know, these guys have done some incredible things. But when they left the military, they're forgotten about. They're not talked about. And I was thinking, if anybody, I'm not going to go to China. I decided I would go to somebody that fought by my side. And a man who fights in war at my side is my brother. So that's one of the reasons I went to them. Because that affected me greatly. A lot of things. Like I said, I've gone to I've buried about 14 soldiers. So in my time. So that's quite a bit. But anyway, so that's one of the reasons I used them, because they fought with us. They fought with us in Afghanistan. They took that Taliban leader's head. Oopsie. A lot of people don't know that, but
allegedly,
they told them bring back DNA evidence. They don't have a word for DNA evidence. It translates as body part. Oopsie. They did have.
They meant finger. That's not what they got.
So they're very old school. So, they're very old school. There's one so they've been fighting us. The Japanese were afraid of them because they treated the Japanese the way the Japanese treated everybody else. And they didn't like that because they were vicious to the Japanese, because the Japanese were vicious to everybody else. And they fought with us in World War II. People don't know that. They've been with us in Afghanistan. A lot of people don't know that. and because they're not talked about or celebrated. Certain soldiers will know about them. We've met them. Not a lot of soldiers never heard of them. Oh,
well, the British are rather fond. The British are rather fond of their Gurkhas.
Oh, yeah.
In
Yes,
the
they
British
are.
military circles, they're
Yes.
still very well known.
Yes,
Here, stateside, not so much until you start getting into group guys, tier 1 kind of thing. They know who the Gurkhas are. So
they got cross attached to our units. They guard some of our embassies today.
Wow.
So that's one of the reasons I picked Nepal. Somebody says, well, why Nepal? Well, if I was going to have somebody help, they're hurting for money. I sent them money during COVID because they couldn't work and they were shut down. And I helped support them during the COVID fiasco. And then I went there and we set it up and we've got it going. Like you said, Alan helped them rebuild the forges. They got flooded out. They had natural disasters. Kept the family going.
Well, and I tell you, Frank, you and I talked a good bit getting ready for this tonight. My new favorite for yours is the one that Casey named. And
Carrie, Carrie.
You might like this one.
Carrie,
and you can say the name on here. We don't care.
Okay. Well, we did these right before the mountain readiness show. They were done right before the show. We wanted something that was lower cost, easier to make, bring it to the show, and we didn't have a name for it. And it got there, and I put it on the table, and I realized, I sold these I think for $70 at the show, and we didn't have a name for it. And she said, "I call it," because she designed it, and she wanted one for her cattle ranch where she cuts tree limbs and things.
Yeah.
And she said, "Cutthroat Carry."
Cutthroat Carry.
I told her I can't call it Cutthroat Carry. I can't put that out there politically on the table for everybody. So it's CTC. So those of you who see CTC, it's Cutthroat Carry.
Oddly enough, I designed a blade much like that, but the handle had a little bit of an offset, like a parang.
Oh, okay.
Right. For a group of guys that like to ride motorcycles called their name begins with B. And when they ordered it, they requested a head chopper. That was how the order was placed.
That's how it is.
Yeah.
And you better be wearing colors if you're carrying one of those to this day. That's all I can say. So.
Yeah.
Hey, Will had a question there. He's asked about the 2 notches in the blade. You want to tell him about that, Frank?
Oh,
on that cho.
Hindu symbol.
The good old cho there.
They would put their Hindu symbol. There's a lot of things that go with that.
Yeah.
I'll talk about the mechanical portion that people miss out. Everybody talks about the religious portion, the pulling of blood and flicking it off, where blood would pull down into that notch and you could flick it off. But the other thing they don't talk about, where that hole is, that gap, when you chop, have you seen it allows slight flexing, actually. It's where that curve is, it allows it to just slightly, we're talking, you have to put it in slow motion to see it.
Yeah.
It allows it slight flexing to help keep it from breaking. And they actually, if you'll notice on a lot of them, it'll be slightly different color in that area than the other blade, because that area is actually softer. But soft
to allow the flex, to allow
the
that
flex, for a flex.
Yeah, and that's the reason for that. But if you ever look up how to write the word Hindu, it looks like that symbol. A lot of people don't know that. It looks
really?
How they write in Hindu, it's like that with a line down the middle.
Oh, okay.
You can Google that.
Big shout out to my buddy Bob Lester, just popped in the house. What's up, Bob?
Bob Lester.
We're talking about some fine steel here, man. Talking about some fine steels. Yeah, and like it's crazy. Like the comments we're seeing, like Frank makes great knives. I even own a Kopesh he made. Beautiful blades. Like a lot of people are talking about either already having them or they've recently bought them, which is awesome because there's one for you right here, Frank. There's an idea for you to toy with, roll around.
Yeah, special edition mountain readiness knife. Oh, there you go. I think you're right.
Well, and another one.
We should talk
about that now.
Paying attention over in the comments, they really liked that mini Kukri.
Yeah, the letter opener Kukri. They went bananas for that thing, dude. You can sell more of that than anything.
They went absolutely bananas in the cat.
Really?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Like you could sell those by the gross, I have a feeling, just from the way they act in the
Yeah,
comments.
absolutely.
That's my letter opener. My kid, I mean, you can do what you want with it, but
Yeah, they really like that. When you pulled that out and were showing it earlier, everybody in the comments went crazy.
Yeah,
over
it
that
was
thing.
like. And the previous winner, Anthony Foltz, is in the house that won the first blade from Frank that we gave away.
Yeah, that's as soon as you go to click on one, it always moves.
Oh,
Right
it
there
always
it
Is
is.
it time? Is it time for the second?
It is time for the second.
It is
time
time
for
for
the
the second.
All right,
Time
so
for the
let me
second
switch
blade.
screens here real quick
All right.
and
Stock it. There you go.
turn on.
okay.
Right. I agree, Casey. I think Frank needs to get on the stick with Kukri letter openers just in time for the holiday shopping season.
Yeah, I can make it happen.
I'll take
All
one.
right.
I'm in too. I'm already in.
All right, so Chris, whenever you are ready, Teresa will spin it.
Oh right. Oh, let's spin the big wheel of fun. Let's do this.
Spin it there, dear.
That's it. All right.
Yeah.
The baby Kukri is battle gnome size. It said.
Yeah, it looked like a longsword on him.
Yeah.
Oh,
Finch.
Reb Finch in the house.
Oh,
If you're here,
He's here. He's in there. Oh,
he's here. He's in there.
Awesome, brother
All right.
Finch. Get a hold of Russ, and we'll get you your blade. Ooh, that leaves one more. That leaves the big one.
all we got left is the big one.
The El Grande.
And we'll do that one. What do
finale.
we say, Chris? We'll do that one at 5 till.
Oh, Jax, you ain't missed nothing. If you want something for Frank, you let us know what you need, and we'll make that happen. So
Yeah, all right. We're definitely have to talk about this mountain readiness night. See what you're interested in.
Yeah, we could definitely get something put together and come up with a design. I think Bob's designed a knife or two in his past.
Yeah,
There are a couple of them. In there.
He designed a hell of a tomahawk. Warhawk.
Yeah, we could do I forgot about that. A tomahawk out there. I just had one.
Yeah. I actually need to make a few more of those. I've got like multiple ones sold, and I still haven't finished them yet. I'm too busy chasing chickens and goats and turkeys around the yard. So,
yeah. So I've got a wide array of abilities that we can get done. Example.
Holy crap!
Yeah, we can do.
there you go.
See it? It's got an elk guard
Oh yeah,
and a pommel. That's from the
the hoof.
hoof
Yeah.
pommel. So we can do
Wow,
different things. So whatever you come up with, I'll look at.
really?
Right on.
Yeah. So you want something decorative, or you just want something old school, like like this is an old school sax knife, CX.
Oh yeah,
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Good old sax.
yep. I like that cutthroat carry. Something I
Yeah,
thought that was.
okay. Yeah.
I thought
I do too. This is becoming one of my favorites to go to.
Yeah.
It's wider on this end.
Yeah,
than
yeah.
this here,
Mhm.
and it gives it more chopping ability, and it's got a slight curve to it.
You got to you got a buyer for that sword right there.
Make
Oh,
the Conan
man.
sword.
Make the Conan sword.
Yeah, make it. Yeah, I thought about making the Conan sword. I wanted to try the father sword because OG. The
Yeah.
original.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I wanted to do that one first. The Conan sword is on. I thought about doing one for me just because because swords.
Absolutely.
Just because I have knives, so I should have some blades.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Bob Lester's over there trying to bribe Rev out of that knife. He's like, "I'll double your money that you put."
Wow.
Twice as much of nothing to tote around.
Twice as much as nothing is. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, I've got a wide variety of things that can be done. For example, if I'm in a boat and I need an oar, I've got this one. So
Good God.
That's a hunk of metal right there.
Yeah, I could just
Of Crocodile Dundee would look at that and go, crikey.
Yeah. So if you want to come up with something with an eagle head on it, it can be done. Small, big, whatever.
I know where I know where you just went, Chris.
No, actually, I'm thinking of since we're talking about doing something mountain readiness related.
Yeah.
Then it needs to be North Carolina related as well.
Right.
It's got to be North Carolina specific.
So we're putting meth in it?
Well, I was thinking of quenching it in moonshine. I was talking about quenching it. I wasn't gonna go. I wasn't going
moonshine or meth. Actually, that would be cool. Something to do with moonshining with a blade.
Just a
That'd be
nod.
kind of cool.
A little nod.
The animal
But then again, Frank's coming to Fallout. And Fallout, that's what was stemmed around the Angery American. What if the pommel was a skull? I mean, they may need a skull on it.
Oh,
I know a guy that's got one designed. It'll just
angry skull.
It'll just have to spit the cigar out. That's all. That'd be a bitch in the palm of your hand, but
yeah, I can do a skull. Absolutely, I've done a couple with skulls on them. So yeah, that can be done.
Well, Anthony Foles said the moonshiner special. I was thinking more like calling it the bootlegger.
Yeah.
There you go.
The mountain readiness bootlegger. Because there's enough of that. There's enough of that. Isn't it though? I mean, I'm an idea guy. I'm an idea guy. Like Trump says. But I'm an idea guy. But yeah, mountain readiness bootlegger.
See,
we can do small ones like this.
Oh yeah.
This is an old school blade. Two bigger ones.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's also a signal.
That's got the brass on the. That's brass on the spine.
Right. I actually got a video of me splitting the log. I was testing to make sure the brass didn't come off. What I did was I used brass pins right here. And so you can't. If you look close, you'll see a brass pin in there, but it's real hard to see. Oh, okay.
There you go.
Sorry.
There it is.
There it is. Yeah.
It's hard to see if the brass.
That's so polished.
Yeah.
That's so polished.
Basically, so it blended in. So it got epoxied on and pinned in, and then I've actually batoned through a log with it.
A log.
And I was testing to see if the brass would come off. Because that was my concern.
I actually kind of like Bob's idea there.
Yeah.
Moonship theme with a hollow handle.
Bootlegger boot knife.
Moonshine theme with a hollow handle for a flask.
That's
bootlegger boot pick.
Bootlegger
boot pick.
Bootlegger boot knife, yeah.
Actually, I think it should just come as a like the Kukri does with a companion, and on the sheath there's just a little flask.
There you go.
The sheath is the flask.
Hey, because there's enough of that refined mountain spring water that runs through mountain readiness that we might as well give it a nod. You know what I mean? So
I partook a little bit too much of that last May.
I heard of a few people who did.
Good old me and Anthony. It appears.
I was going to say I was not one of them.
No, we destroyed the tables there at the Angery Land, though, falling over them. But that's another story.
That's all right. That's what they're there for.
Exactly, to catch our fall.
Yeah, to limit the blow, the impact of the ground. I want to go back for just a minute to the Nepalese that Frank works with, because like I was telling you guys, what he's selling these for is they're undervalued. He's selling them for under their value dramatically, in my opinion. But part of that is, and Frank, I think you'll echo this, in Nepal, a few dollars goes a long way.
Yeah.
So it makes a big impact. The money that makes it back over to those guys.
And I actually pay them. I pay them higher price than the other. A lot of them want to come work for me because I pay better.
Really?
Yeah. When I first started this, when I sold a knife, I just wanted enough to go get a sandwich or a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
That's where it started. Because that's really all I wanted out of it. Because I started this. I like knives. I made knives, and then I started getting help from them, and I gave them a lot of money. They get paid higher because a lot of the other competitors over there that are out there want to come work for me.
Really?
Because I'm paying better. Just money.
Yeah. Hey. Well, I mean, we're getting close to the wire here, and we've got a bunch of questions.
Wow, an hour's gone by already.
I wanna get a bunch of these questions for you, which I've been putting off to the
Sure.
side. So I'm gonna run them and let you answer them. So, have you showed the mini Bowie? Someone may have missed it if you did.
No, I haven't. I haven't showed off the mini Bowie yet. I made some small Bowie knives.
Okay.
A little bit smaller than this one, but I'll have to do I guess I can later. Unless you want that one. What's the next question?
I'm getting through them here.
Oh, okay.
Let me see here.
Hit that pin button. The pin.
Oh,
There's pin.
Right here. And I think it was already answered for him in the comments by Casey.
Who wants a Spartan? Yes, the Spartan 300. I did a few of those. I'll be doing those again. That's probably going to be about July or August, late July, early August for Sparta.
All right.
That's a sword, basically.
Yeah. So, what's the best steel to start working with in the beginner stage? Cheap steel. No, I'm just joking.
Because you're going to mess it up. When I started, you are. I started making knives, ended up making angle brackets.
I end up making angle brackets. Yeah.
Yeah. I learned a lot. Like I left railroad spikes. I had one I left in the forage long. I picked because I went and made coffee, fiddle farted around, came back out, pulled it out, and it just dripped down. Like left it in.
Well, and you're coal forging, so yeah, you can melt. Yeah, that steel just comes apart, just burns it in two.
Yeah.
So in a forge, which I think Missouri Survival, I believe he's got his own made a forge he's made, so he won't have that issue. If you're coal forging though, yeah, you walk away from that for a second too long. That's a whole nother artwork, a world right there with coal forging.
Yeah, I actually bought some railroad spikes, purchased them brand new. I still have a few left over. And if this guy emails me, I'll email him a couple. If he really wants to get into it, I'll email him a couple of those railroad spikes. He can go play with those.
Well, there you go. Shoot Frank an email. He'll send you some railroad spikes.
I'll send you a couple. I started with lawnmower blades. Leaf spring is very forgiving for forging.
Cool.
But anything of that nature.
Yeah, go walk on a road track anywhere. Pick up spikes.
Yeah, do not start with expensive steel.
Yeah.
1080, 1090.
Yeah.
It's very low cost. But when you start out, you'll be throwing your money away. A D2 steel. I like D2 steel. It's hard for me to work with.
It is hard.
It is hard. I do like it. I do like it for smaller blades, only because of my technique. I don't like it for really big blades.
I like it if you can keep it sharp. I don't want to touch it if it ever gets dull.
Right, because once it gets dull, you got to know what you're doing to sharpen it. You got to have the equipment to sharpen it.
I'm just throwing this one up. There's a comment because, again, everybody was talking about the letter opener Kukri.
Okay, baby Kukri. So maybe this size, or maybe redo the sheet, make it a different type of sheet.
That size. I think that's what everybody dug, just like that.
Okay, all right. So
just like that.
Something like that.
Here's a fun one. How'd you feel about Alan Kay taping and bluing one of your knives?
Okay. Yeah. Well, the taping I was okay with, but the bluing after buffing it, and then he goes and blues it. And I was like, why did I bother all that time? So there's that. Yeah. And I get it because this is a Ciso bolo knife. This is the first one. I'll be doing more of these later. This was used in Vietnam in the 60s, issued to special forces. They didn't want to carry the long machete.
Yeah.
So they started getting these. I'm looking at doing it blackened, so it's faster for me. And that way I can do that and not have to worry about Alan bluing it.
Alan bluing it.
But yeah, I am. Other than that, I was okay with it. I get the taping thing. I actually on some of my personal ones on that ring, I'm right-handed. If the ring sticks out too far, I will actually sand it down the side that goes into my palm.
Really?
Yeah, if I feel it biting in. So some of them be a little bit bigger than others.
Right.
Depending on the size of the handle of the ring. And they're handmade. These are all hand done. If it's a little bit big, I will actually take sandpaper and sand it down. just on the end, just on the side. That
Right,
goes
where your rings, where your fingers closing
Right.
over it. Yeah.
Right. And so I leave all this side the way it is, just the part that's into my palm.
That's interesting.
You know, I love watching, seeing these made, some of the video of this. I mean, these guys they're flip flops and barefooted in a shed in a forge on the mountains in Nepal.
Yeah,
squatted down, coal forging, just crazy.
I still film safety equipment, safety glasses, gloves. You know,
I ain't I give them the props for being in there with flip flops on, but I never do wear safety glasses or gloves or any of that stuff.
Yeah,
either.
they said thank you, and they set them aside and never use them.
Well, I'll tell you, I'll wear safety glasses. I don't care how hot it is. I've had metal in my eyes too damn many times. Yeah. I'm a proponent of safety glasses.
I do have grinding.
Being one of those, but
I do have grinding. But when you're forging, like your safety glasses keep fogging up, you can't see. Like it's just one of them things. You know, the eyelid moves very, very quickly, and you know, now and again you catch a little something, but for the most part, it's more dangerous when you wear the glasses. If you can't see what you're hitting, that ends up
that could be bad.
Especially when it's glowing hot, you know. I mean,
oh yeah, Kyle, he actually grinds and forges and flip flops because he had a hot piece of steel go down in his boot, and it burned. You know, he ended up having to go to the hospital, skin grafts, the whole bit. So you know, I see the concept behind it because you if you got your boot strapped up and you bust a piece of hot steel off into your boot, it's burning in. With flip flops, you can kick it right off. So I mean, they have a point. There is a point behind what they do.
Well, Chris, our buddy Pete had a question for Frank, and it was just one word: karambit. Any chances of doing a karambit?
I had done karambits. I've got one in the other room. I did a couple of karambits, and they didn't sell well for me because I can't custom forge a karambit and sell it. You know, because you can buy a karambit for $20, $30, $40. Now, I can't forge one for $40. Maybe I can have Nepal make some karambits.
I've got a $500 karambit.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I've got a couple of those.
Well, because I had done karambits in the past, and they didn't move. They didn't sell. They sat for a long time. I ended up giving them a lot of them away.
Here's a question. Nope, that's not it. As soon as I go to click the damn thing. Okay. Frank, is the letter opener kukri called the biltong? Micah's dad wants to know.
Yes, tell Micah's dad it is called a biltong.
Okay.
That's the actual name for this, is a biltong.
Yeah.
And they actually use this in Nepal.
Yeah, no shirt, smoking cigarettes, wearing jeans, just forging badass parades. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep.
Sweet.
I've done it Crocs. Well, Paul, you're not right in the head for anyway.
Well, he said it went into his Crocs, but it didn't change the appearance of the Crocs. I mean, thing's already full of holes. So
yeah.
How would you know?
We've got we've got a couple of nice karambits from Prime Combat, our good friend Angery Morgenstern.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, we're getting up against the wall. Let's go ahead and if Mama T's ready, we'll set the beautiful
Mama
wheel.
Are you ready?
I am ready.
That's the one. Look at that.
Let's get ready to give away this Sandan.
Man, that is so nice.
And let's see here. There we go. And Frank, why don't you tell my lovely bride when to spin?
3, 2, 1, spin.
She might be a little bit delayed.
A little drag there.
Here's a good one. Here's a good comment, Frank. I think that's a great idea.
Nice kitchen knife with a mountain redness.
What are you trying to say, Christy? For all the women to stay in the kitchen with their nice mountain redness. What?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
I've actually done.
Be prepared.
Be prepared.
I'm
unfamiliar with that person.
I haven't heard that one before, but they're in here somewhere, and so I didn't even see
it.
Just hit up Russ or me. Yeah, winter contact Russ.
Okay.
Be prepared.
Be prepared.
Caught him a nice blade.
Yeah, they did.
Left-handed knife like a left-handed shovel. And another cool thing about the kukris that the Nepalese are making over there, which we didn't even get into, and I wanted to talk about it. We didn't have time. Is the sheaths, the fact that they hand carve that wood, that they stretch that water buffalo hide with their feet and hands, and like the way they're made is really, really cool.
Right, and they'll stitch it, and I've actually seen them hold it with their toes and stitch with their hands.
Mr. Alan K.
Skinning a deer with a karambit.
Oh yeah,
we might could make that happen, Alan.
Yeah. How about? I mean, you need to use that expedition as well. Skin the deer with your kukri.
That would be that's a no-brainer, easy one. Anybody can do that, but doing it with a karambit, that's going to be a little trickier.
That's a little tricky, yeah. Guess you hook in, and
you're gonna have to know your joint manipulation on how to cut joints properly to separate stuff. So most people just hack. Oh, Alan's got it. Yeah, give him a blade; he can take anything apart. Alan, I asked Alan to be on here tonight, Frank, and part of the reason he's not, other than he's kind of busy, is he said I really want the focus to be on Frank. Like that's the kind of guy that Alan is. You know, he's so giving and he's always doing for others before he will do for himself. So, but we will have him on again with you one time, so the three of us can chop it up real good.
Absolutely.
So mine are in my kukri's in my truck. That's where it lives.
I don't have a kukri, but I do have a.
There you go.
I love this thing.
Absolutely.
A good old expedition.
That's the one. That's to me that's the one's perfect. It is so nice. And like I said, man, when you get one of these things in your hand, the balance, just everything about them, it is very fast. And if you learn to use it as a weapon, like I know Alan, he likes to. One of the ways he recommends carrying is weekend on your offside, blade forward. Interesting carry method. So as soon as you come out, it's ready to cut, even if you can't see. That blade comes out, it's cutting. So they're fantastic weapons as well, but these are primarily tools for most people. So, Frank, thanks a lot for being on here, man.
Man, appreciate it. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Let's definitely, you got to get some biltongs in stock, because it looks like you got a standing order that you need to.
There's several of them. I believe several people have ordered them tonight already.
Well, I'm gonna, as soon as we're off here, I'm gonna go order that Raider from you, because I'm gonna give that to a friend of mine that he can appreciate exactly what that is.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I want to give a big shout out to Russ. Thanks for catching me on my that clock wasn't set, sprung forward, and that just screwed me up entirely. And as always, T, thank you for being here, brother.
Yeah,
appreciate you, man. Appreciate it.
You're a busy man, and to have everybody get together do this is a lot of fun. We had great attendance and a lot of questions tonight, and a lot of comments in there, guys. We love that kind of stuff. Questions in the comments,
and
so
we pushed. Yeah, we pushed a lot of business toward your way, Frank. There were 30 people that scanned the QR code.
Wow. Okay.
And that's a record for us.
Oh, and we're just getting started. Don't worry.
We're just getting started. Remember, code KBH10, folks.
All right.
Free shipping in the U.S.
10% off and free shipping. Absolutely. Yeah. These are already screaming ass deals, people. I mean, he's just making it better. Order a knife, So
that makes about 140 in free shipping.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, again, brother, thanks for being here, and we'll do this again. And to the rest of you guys, next week we are going to be on with a buddy of mine and a friend of his. We're going to be discussing the bill before Congress that will give medically retired service members all benefits that would be due to them immediately upon separation, not having to wait till they're 53 years old to collect. This is the only the right thing to do. And there's a bill before Congress to make that happen. So instead of making these guys wait on retirements, if they get medicaled out, they should be able to get their retirement as soon as they're out, because they're out at that point. And we're gonna talk about that bill. We've got some stuff to show you guys. We're also going to post a petition to sign to help get it passed, because our country does not do enough for its veterans, Frank being one. And a lot of people, and it's cheap to say thank you for your service, but some of us genuinely, when we say thank you for your service, we mean it, because we know what it cost you and what you spent to do it. You know what I'm saying? Everybody right here gets it. Everybody on the screen does because Russ is one too. So, but thanks for being here again. We'll have you on again with Alan, guys. So look forward to that one. It'll be in the near future.
I look forward to the design and I look forward to this mountain readiness tee.
There you go.
Absolutely.
The bootlegger, the mountain readiness bootlegger. We got to come up with one, man.
This bootlegger. It's gonna be great.
I mean, if we're talking Appalachia, it could be a Kukri, just a reverse curve.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, guys, you know the drill. Be good or be good at it. We'll catch you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Thank you.
Where's our producer at? What is he doing?
I'm here.
Where's he at?
Missed a couple of things. So
I can only flip this blade in front of the screen so many times.
I'm just giving Russ a hard time because I can.
It's over and out.
Right, Chris, you missed a couple of things, and then we'll roll the outro.
Yeah.
We have Fallout coming up October 17th.
We didn't run the promo. That's true. We didn't even run the promo.
No, that's because
Right.
it's not done yet.
Because it doesn't exist.
But we'll also be at CanCon.
Oh, yes.
CanCon.
November. Yes. What is that? 6th and 8th?
6th, 7th, 8th. It'll actually be 7th and 8th for all the viewing audience. The 6th is the VIP day. That's sold out. But it'll be you, me, Russ, Carl, Sue, possibly Emery, Alan K,
Pete,
Randy Martin, Troy's Gate, Pete,
And Wes.
and Wes.
and
Yeah,
West,
it's full
definitely.
house, all 10 of us. So
Yep.
it's gonna be a blast.
They're gonna you're gonna want to come. It's $50 to get in. They provide the ammo and you get to shoot it. Like, come on. That's a money-making proposition for you. You know, you're gonna save money that day. Your range day's on the house, basically.
Yes.
For $50.
Check out CanCon, South Carolina, Clinton House. Gonna be at the Clinton House right there.
There we go.
Boom.
Second annual. They've only done it once before. This will be the second one. It's going to be a good time. So,
And the only other thing I have left is, since Pete doesn't have a podcast tomorrow night because he's traveling, folks, you can check out Rebuilding Hollers, Come Hell or High Waters, Friday night at 8.
Okay.
It's going to be a good time. She's going to have her first in-studio guest.
so support our friend Stephanie Johnson and check out her podcast Friday night.
That's all I got, Walt. That covers up.
Thank you, guys. This is my first podcast ever. So,
Wow, it's been a long time since I've had a virgin, Frank.
First, many to come.
And he didn't even squeal. You didn't.
You acted like an old pro, man.
It didn't hurt as much as I thought it was going to.
I told you we'd make it easy, brother. You didn't have to worry, man. We'd make it easy. So, all right. And on that, guys, we'll catch you next time.
Love you, Carrie. Bye.